To give us an assessment of Balikatan 2024 and their plans for next year's drills, we have with us back tonight on the show, Balikatan 2024 Executive Agent Colonel Mike Logico. Magandang gabi po.
Good evening. Thank you again for inviting me.
Oh, you're fresh from the drills today with Coast. Today, in this year's Balikatan, we saw around 17,000 troops. We saw the French Navy. We saw BRP Caleraya sink. We also saw the presence of Chinese navies. What is your general assessment of this year's drills?
Well, all I can say is that we are very satisfied with the result of the exercise. There are a lot of the things that we were looking for in terms of interoperability between us and the United States. We really put that to the test. Especially the exercises that we just recently conducted, which is the maritime strike, which is by far, in my experience at least, the most complex of all operations that I've ever been in. It involved a lot of moving parts, especially yung use of C4I sensors, secured communications, working through a kill chain process, and getting target authorization from the president to prosecute the target. All of that, it seems so simple by just making kwento, pero in reality, it was really tough, and we worked through it because we really prepared hard for this.
Colonel, I remember prior to the commencement of the exercises, we were kind of hinting about what could happen in the EEZ with the American, Philippine, and French Navy sailing off there, possibly a water cannon incident. But we're hearing bits and pieces of what exactly transpired. Tell us about that group sail and what happened over there with the Chinese Navy tried to interrupt the drills.
Okay. Generally, the general story is that as the group sail was underway, steaming south from after turning through the tip of Palawan, they were being followed by two PLAN ships, the 167 and the 793. They entered into the opera box. We call it the opera box, the operations box, where the group sail was conducting their gunnery exercises. This is actually a hazard. There's a reason why we have a notice to mariners published weeks in advance before the conduct of an exercise. It's really for the safety of other mariners, other ships that may accidentally enter into an exercise area. A gunnery exercise involves live fire, whether small arms or much more complex armaments. And to enter into a training area in the middle of the sea, it is hazardous for those who will enter. So we have an SOP that if there are any intrusions into the opera box, anybody can put a halt to the exercise. This is as a safety precaution, so nobody accidentally hits something that they don't want to hit.
Okay, and there was a little fishing boat, I think, a small one from the Philippine side that accidentally went in. Did that cause a lot of disruption?
You mean to say the maritime strike in Ilocos Norte?
Yes, I believe it was that.
Yes, yes. The picket boats were able to stop them, and they ushered them away from the opera box just for their own safety.
What behavior
After that, we continued on with the exercise.
What behavior did you notice with the Chinese Maritime Militia and the Chinese Navies? I mean, usually when we have resupply missions, parang nakikipagpatintero po yan eh. May blocking movements. But with these exercises, did they follow our vessels? Did they stay away? Did they stay farther? What did you observe?
Well, the distance that they were covering away from our group sail was between 4 to 5 nautical miles, which from a range safety perspective is safe for them. Ano? But you can never really tell. The mere fact that they entered into the opera box, and I would say it's probably intentional. They already knew the risks before doing that. And probably they were also counting on us to know our safety procedures, and we do. We put a halt temporarily to the exercise just for their safety. Of course, you would understand, the group sail tried hailing them, but there was no response. In fact, they even turned off their AIS, which is the reason why they unexpectedly entered. The Of course, we don't really expect to have any hostile engagement with anybody from the opera box, but there's always that certain degree of preparedness just in case, they would be foolish enough to try anything overtly hostile against warships coming from the Philippines and our treaty allies.
When we spoke to you before the exercises started, Colonel, you said combat readiness demonstration was the primary goal for this year.
Absolutely.
What did Balikatan this year teach you about the Philippines' combat readiness?
Well, what it's taught us is that we have come a long way. I have been involved in Balikatan since 2016, and I've seen how Balikatan has progressed from just the tactical formations, and now we're going into the operational level of war. When I say operational level, that means we're dealing with a lot of moving parts. When you're dealing with the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force working together. When these three components work together, you're dealing with different processes, different doctrines, different cultures. That takes a lot of effort to do. And from my standpoint, I think we've gone a long way compared to previous Balikatan exercises. And the mere fact that we're also able to do it with our treaty allies means that even they also struggle with the same things that we're struggling with. But to do it together, that increases the complexity tenfold, hundredfold. I would say that we have still a lot of things to work out, but these are structural in nature. I am not at liberty to discuss it here, but for as long as we face the problem squarely and understand the root causes of these friction points, I'm confident that we are able to deal with it. We have an entire year to prepare for the big one next year.
Okay, Colonel, I want to ask you about some of the quote-unquote, very many quotes, toys that you were able to quote-unquote play with in this year's Balikatan. There was a Typhoon missile system that I think first time to be deployed in the Indo-Pacific. How was it working with those things and a lot of hardware that the Americans brought in? And are we going to be able to keep some of them?
Okay, first question, the Typhoon missile system, you're talking about the MRC, the mid-range capability weapon. We had no plans really to fire them, to use them in a live exercise. We were able to use them in a simulation. That means they go through the drills without actually firing it. That missile system, actually, it is the closest that we have to that is the recently acquired BrahMos missile system. And the reason why they brought it in is because the United States also knows that we just acquired the BrahMos, and we are looking forward to having the BrahMos and the MRC working together in the next exercise. This is also very significant because this is a game changer type of a weapon system. But moving away from the BrahMos, this is also the first time that we were able to fire the Navy Sea Star missile system. Apart from the Sea Star, we were also able to fire the NLOS, a non-line of sight missile coming from the fast attack interdictionary craft. The Sea Star naman was fired from one of our frigates, the BRP Jose Rizal. These two missile systems effectively bring us into the missile age. And I never thought I'd be around to witness that. And from the videos that were posted, that were released, all of them hit their targets. And you could already imagine, it would be hard for me to describe the euphoria that all of us felt in our secured location together with the president, that we were able to hit those targets. And to see it for the first time, it was really overwhelming.
But going back to, I think you promised to get back on with us if the Typhoon missile system will be kept here in the Philippines.
Yeah. I said get back to me in June.
June ba?
Yeah.
Walang date,
I know what,
sabi mo.
1 month
I
early.
know what
1
I
month early.
said because I was here when I said it.
May date na. Yan ba? O sige,
Yeah, you
babalikan
can
namin
argue
kayo.
with
I
the
said,
Colonel.
come back to me in June if it's still here.
So have you started
Okay.
preps for next year? As early as now?
Immediately after the closing ceremony, all of us were the lead planners for Balikatan. We went to another room and we started talking about what we're going to do for next year. So that's really how we work. As soon as we wrap up one training cycle, we move on to the next training cycle. And that means our job is continuous 365 days in a year.
Right.
So unlike what I hear people saying, especially in social media, na pagtapos na yung Balikatan, uwi na naman sila. No, that couldn't be further from the truth. Because after this, we have other exercises as well. We have the Salaknib exercise, we have Kamandag, we have Masa. All of these are not only Balikatan, but they're continuous streams of exercises intended to keep us on our toes 365 days in a year.
Colonel, just before we let you go, is the planned Luzon corridor going to be very helpful in terms of interoperability with regard to the Balikatan exercises, with regard to interoperability with the American forces?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that. Luzon corridor.
Yes. Yung pinag-usapan po sa trilateral meeting, Japan, US,
yes.
and the Philippines.
Oh yes. I think from a logistical standpoint, that would be that would be tremendous in helping us get from one place to the other. You have to understand, when you talk about exercises, military operations, what you normally imagine are those live fire exercises that you would see. Those are the more exciting activities.
Right.
The less exciting but equally important, and probably even if it's boring, you can't do away without it. It's really logistics.
Yeah.
Getting brigades from one point to the next. Getting weapon
yeah.
systems from one point to the next. That's very important.
So what we'll
And
do
you
is
you hit it on the head. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That would be very helpful for us, and it doesn't take a lot of imagination.
So we'll put it on our agenda and check back in with you again as well later in the year.
June.
Thank you so much
you
for
so much.
joining us tonight. 2024 Balikatan 2024 Executive Agent Colonel Mike Logico.